YouTube, Dawson Ryder here, back with more Power Rangers Re-ignition news, or MMPR Re-ignition news. Got my Juice Bar shirt on because I am the #1 MMPR fan. MMPR all the time, you know how I roll. So we got a couple more pictures. As of this recording, we only have one more picture of the Auto Morphins and a picture of the Zords, but we do have a breakdown of what's supposed to be the first wave. Let's start with the Auto Morphins. I know we talked about that yesterday, but there's a couple things to address and some interesting stuff. So we have one more picture where they're just kind of facing like at attention. They actually, oddly enough, look a little bit better here, other than the fact that their weapons having colors on them was kind of cool. This honestly does seem like these might be at least the first wave basic figures. Yesterday it seemed like it wasn't, and also when you look at the silhouette, they don't look like it, but they kind of do. Maybe the silhouette was just like a computer rendering, but I just feel like with this thing on comicbook.com, when they're getting this information about the first wave, I feel like if there was a basic 5-inch just articulated set that wasn't Auto Morphin, I feel like that would come up, right? I mean, there is still Toy Fair. Maybe they are still doing the 5-inch ones down the line, but right now it just seems like that would come up. I don't know. Like, take that with a grain of salt. I'm just not sure. It just seems like they would bring it up if there was two different lines. And it also kind of makes a weird sense with this whole nostalgia play for it to be Auto Morphin, since those were the first 5-inch figures. Not the first figures, those were the too hot to handle figures. Honestly, if they recreated those, I wouldn't mind, because I actually really dug those a lot. But anyway, it's an odd choice. I mean, like I said, the Auto Morphin makes choice. Auto Morphin makes sense on like a nostalgia level as a choice, but just the way the figures look. Like, I know it's a kid's line, but they're just so weird. I think you might pull kids in like me when I was younger that liked the gimmick, but they're just such an odd thumb-looking figure, and I really feel like in the year of Bebo 2025, it would be possible to have something that it's not going to look like a regular articulated figure, but it would look probably close-ish. I think you can pull it off, but I don't know. If these are the main first wave of figures, that is a little bit disappointing just in terms of presentation. But I don't know, we'll have to see. I'll pick them up because I'm a sucker for the Auto Morphin figures, and I'm curious to see how they compare. Okay, also, last thing, I know we want to move on to the new stuff, is I saw a lot of people in the comments yesterday, just being absolutely toxic, but also people thinking that this, if this is the basic figures, is the replacement for the Lightning Collection. It is not. The replacement for the Lightning Collection. These are $10 figures, literally more than half the price. Also, this is basically the replacement for the Dino Fury Beast Morphers line. This is the basic line for kids. There's talk that they're working on a collector's line, no confirmation. I imagine they'll wait and see how this goes. But this is absolutely not the equivalent. This is like that meme of like, you connected two dots. You didn't connect anything. It's not the replacement. It's irrelevant. Stop talking about it. Now on to new stuff. Megazord. So we have just a look at the individual 5 Zords. There is a little picture in the corner of how they combine. Kind of hard to gleam off of it. It doesn't look bad, but I'm going to need to see full pics to like reserve judgment, because it's hard to tell. His shoulders are down. The shoulders have to be up for me to know what it looks like. But anyway, first impression was they did look a little cheap, like it looked like it's going to have that cheap gray plastic. Obviously, they're going to miss some details. Remind you guys, kids line. That doesn't mean it has to be bad. It just means if it's missing that black stripe of thigh paint, it's not worth foaming at the mouth over. But yeah, first thought they looked a little cheap, but as I looked at the picture more, I have to say the molds look actually pretty accurate. Like, not the best. I'm not sure off the top of my head which of the main Megazord releases had the most accurate like proportions in terms of the individual Zords, because I don't think about that a lot, because I usually just display them in the Megazord mode or Ultrazord or whatever. But I think that they actually look fairly accurate to the molds of the show. Especially, I think Mastodon looks pretty good. They are individual. They're going to be $17. That's going to be interesting. I talked about when it was announced or rumored or whatever that they were going to be individual, that I feel like pink is a tough sell, not necessarily because of the girl thing, but just because I feel like that's such a smaller one for $17. The little descriptions they give, and I'll probably put up descriptions for certain ones so I don't have to read them verbatim, because I didn't feel like having my computer up. I'm going with the flow. I'm feeling the flow! God, I don't miss that show. I didn't see anything about like features like, oh, it's got sounds or missiles or anything. I'll be curious to see how they look individually, and that's kind of pricey to put them all together, but I don't know. I'm curious but not excited about this because I have so many variants of this Megazord. We are getting a Morpher. I remember the early rumors that we weren't going to get a Morpher in the first wave, and I found that odd, so it appears we are getting a Morpher. I believe this is also $16 or $17.99, and it seems like kind of in line with what we've been getting with Hasbro and Bandai, where you have a bunch of sounds. I think it said something like 30 or 40 different sounds, and you'll have different sounds for the different coins. Maybe they'll have the theme song in there, maybe some voices, I don't know. With 40 sounds, you're probably going to have something like that. I'll admit I'm a little bit excited for this. I do have quite a bit of Power Morphers, but I'm curious to see how this looks. And I will say, with this release, in regards to sort of the who needs this, too much MMPR, I do get a fair bit of comments throughout the year on my old Legacy Morpher reviews and stuff of people that still like missed the Power Morpher, whether it was Hasbro's or Bandai's or the original. And so I do think there's at least some older fans that will need this in terms of their collection. So I think that's worth noting, at least in terms of the Power Morpher, because honestly, I don't remember seeing the Hasbro Power Morpher all that much at all. like in the first couple months, and then I never really saw it. So I don't know. I think they're probably the most of these things, maybe the Megazord, but I think the most of these, there might be people that need to pick up a Power Morpher for their collection. Also, there's a Blade Blaster, which, if I remember right, is supposed to be the most expensive. It's like $20 or something like that. And it says, like, it transforms into Blade and Blaster mode. I'm like, I would hope so with a name like Blade Blaster. Also supposed to have a bunch of phrases, maybe plays the theme, I don't know. It would be cool if, like, I don't think this will happen because this isn't like a legacy release or like a memorial edition or whatever. Maybe this whole line is a memorial edition for the franchise. It would be cool if, like, the Morpher can play the theme or whatever, but maybe this could play, like, Fight or something. That would be kind of neat. I don't know if they would do that for a kid's toy, but I have to say, I feel like the prices seem pretty reasonable. Like, I can't remember how expensive Morphers were when I was younger, like picking up an Astro Morpher or an Industorm Morpher or whatever. But in terms of, like, you know, Dino Charge, Megaforce, this seems pretty in line. It doesn't seem too outrageous. The only thing that seems expensive is having to build the Megazord. This is all we have right now. Like I said, it seems very strange to me. Like, it seems strange and not strange. Like, the idea seems not strange to do Auto Morphins for the first one, but, like, putting your best foot forward for the figures, having them look like thumbs, doesn't feel that great. Again, I know it's a kid's line, but you want them to be appealing. And the figures was one of the things I wasn't really worried about, because when we got the announcement, I talked about how I've collected a few Playmates toys before, the Turtles, the Ben 10 toys, and honestly, those were all great, really great. So I'm like, these will probably look pretty good. So I'm a little bit surprised about that. I think the Megazord's going to be a little bit pricey. I'll be curious to see how that looks. I'll be curious what the scale's going to look like, because it also depends on how big they are. If they're decently scaled, like, it could end up looking like the larger scale Voltron one, which could be kind of cool. And I'll be curious to see how the proportions look on that, because the proportions on Dino Megazords can be hit and miss. Like I said, I am kind of looking forward to seeing what the Power Morpher looks like. It'll be interesting to compare it, especially since this is a kids line release, you know, a mainline release. Think of this as like the Beast Morphers, Jungle Fury, Dino Thunder, Mystic Force type of line. I'm imagining maybe the coins won't be die-cast, so I don't think it'll necessarily be comparable 100% to something like the Legacy or the Lightning Collection one. It would be kind of cool thinking about this. I do want to move past, if this line in any way is successful, I do want to obviously move past Season 1. But in terms of Season 1 stuff, something that would be kind of cool to get if they could pull it off in a way that they were pretty neat for like a kid's line and reasonable would be the power cannon weapons. Like, if they could really, those are better almost for individual release, because you could like deck them out, like getting a cool bow and daggers and a lance and all that stuff could be really cool individual releases, and then combine them into a giant power cannon could be really cool. I think that would be at least one Season 1 thing that would be kind of cool to do. I imagine they might try to do a Dragonzord at some, or Dragonzord, well, a Dragonzord, yes, but a Dragon Dagger, I said at some point. So we still, unfortunately, kind of have a lot of Season 1 stuff to go through if it's successful. But like I said in the last few videos, I'll be immensely curious how well this line does, you know. I feel like something like this would maybe be better suited closer to when a possible revival would happen, or maybe at the same time. It just seems so weird in such a dormant period. Honestly, you know when this line would have been perfect for? Would when Once and Always came out. I mean, if Once and Always came out, doing a Once and Always leaning line would have made more sense. But this would have been perfect for that time, because there was at least some sort of media on it, and then also they had it on Netflix, and there was kids seeing it live. But now such a weird time. I don't think necessarily it's even so much about MMPR being recognizable to kids. It's just about no seasons are really recognizable to kids right now. I saw a debate yesterday about like no one's gonna recognize MMPR right now. I'm like, it's been a while since Cosmic Fury, and the further we get away from it, the franchise as a whole is irrelevant to kids and adults alike. So I'm gonna be so curious to see how this line does. But I'd say let me know your thoughts in the comments as always, but it's really a, you know, a lot of negativity yesterday, a lot of Sentai purists taking the high road as usual. But let me know what you think in the comments as always. I will keep you updated if they have any more pictures or anything. If there happens to be any pictures that pop up when I am editing, I'll put them up over my face. Not literally like that, but like, anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for more videos like this and more. Dawson Ryder, signing out.